Welcome to Heal the World Show podcast, brought to you by the Healing Institute. I'm Permelia Parham. I am the founder and the CEO of the Healing Institute. And the Healing Institute is an online worldwide hub of holistic practitioners. We are available for people to be well and stay well on their health journey. So I am so delighted to be able to have every week a guest co-host to come and talk about their area of expertise. And I wanted you to know also that, I designed the Healing Institute because I'm really passionate about creating a proactive wellness society. I've used holistic ways of being well for over 20 years, and they work. And so the practitioners that we have on the website, they are all holistic practitioners. They get to the root cause of what's going on, not just looking at what the symptom might be. And so I wanted, one of the reasons I always talk about this is, why is this so important to me? Well, we did have a tragedy in our family a few years ago where my mother passed away at a very young age. She was only 61. And it was due to being on a medication for many years, and was never advised that the long-term effects of being on this medication could compromise her kidneys. So unfortunately, she passed away just before Christmas. I happened to be 5 months pregnant with my son. And not only is it a tragedy because she died at such a young age, but my children didn't get to know their grandmother. And I don't want that happening for any other families. So each week, as I mentioned, I do have a guest co-host to talk about their area of expertise. And this month is June, is Men's Health Month. Now, I'm going to introduce Gary in a minute, and I know he lives in Italy, and I'm not sure if it's International Men's Health Month, but when I chose that we would do Men's Health Month in June, I didn't know that it was National Men's Health Month in North America. So it's all falling into place wonderfully. And we're actually going to be talking today specifically about being a family man, because Gary has 3 children, and what that means from a healthy point of view. So Gary, welcome. I'm just delighted to have you here, all the way from Verona, Italy. It was very exciting to have you here. Gary's an international business coach. He's an author, a motivational speaker, and he hosts the Be Well meetings, I'm calling them, that I've had the pleasure of being on. And he's also, as I mentioned, the father of 3. So welcome, Gary. Well, we're just going to have a conversation about what it is like to be a family man in this age and time, and be healthy at the same time.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Permelia. It's good to be here with you. Yes, I'm all of those things and more as well. I'm a father, an entrepreneur. I've been running my business for 25 years. I've written a book, which is my autobiography. Again, that was just as a message to my 3 children. I have 3 children. I say children because they will always be our children. They're now 24, 20, and nearly 16, but they're still children in my eyes.
I agree. Mine are in their 30s and they're still my children.
Exactly. It seems strange to be saying children, but they are my children, and they the love of our lives, I'm sure. And when I speak about them, there's love in the words when I speak about them, because it's just I have those goose pimples because I'm a father. I don't really think about it, but it was the first moment that actually made me become a serious person. Before, I was just very focused on myself, and my daughter coming along at a very after a year of marriage, she came along and just completely changed everything. So being a father was like, you get married. I got married, and I remember telling my wife that maybe I'd made a mistake getting married, because going from just being single and then having a fiance and having a relationship and then getting married, things change. But the child coming along completely throws everything out of the window.
So, absolutely. Because now it's all about them. It's all about that baby and that innocent person that you
Yeah.
feel so responsible for.
Really, and so there wasn't that option of leaving as there was before. There wasn't when the child arrived, and then my second one and the third one. There was no option of leaving. Where do you leave, and who do you leave? You know,
Exactly. That impact you as a man and your health? How, did you look at your health any differently?
Actually, it's strangely you're asking that question there because when my daughter, especially, was one of those children that never slept, you know, that continually
Mm,
cried during the night, and she was always needy and was 24/7 full on. Something again, parents don't expect that because you just expect the
no.
child to be there and to be fed and changed, but she was really a full on child. And so there was also the health was trying to sleep, trying to run my business at the time as well, because I just opened my language school. So I'd got married, opened my language school, so it was in its early days. And then after a
Mhm.
year, the child comes along. My wife's having problems of post natal a situation like this, and then I was called into also being mother father. So I wasn't a father, but it was mother father, entrepreneur, trying to keep myself healthy as well. It was chaos. I think it was really chaotic for the first three, I would say 2-3 years until we put her into a nursery. We got some support, some help, but it was very difficult at the beginning. I remember that.
Yeah, it totally is. My second child, my daughter, my oldest daughter, she also had what we call colic here in North America. And so she was also one of those children that I thought if I could get 4 hours sleep straight, then I would be able to function. And usually that
Yeah.
4 hours was between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. So, and then of course I had a 2-year-old. So he was awake at 6. So it's a big responsibility. So
It
Marie
is
is
it,
here. I
it
just
it is
want
a
to,
big
yeah,
responsibility, and as a father, I hadn't had a very good childhood, so I didn't really have a role model. And my wife still says, "I can't believe you're such a good father because you didn't really have much to as of an example." But it came natural to me. I wanted to be really in that role. So father wasn't just giving being the authority. It was actually being the loving father as well, because I think that's something that we don't really look at, because a man also has the female side of him, and
absolutely.
as the woman has the male side of her. So it's something that, when I was changing my daughter's the nappy or diaper, as you say that, and feeding her, I would feed her, I would change her, comb her hair, bathe her, I would do everything. And it was such a beautiful moment. I think we still know that she's 24 years old now. We have a brilliant relationship. Um, but I got to say that men have to be given that space as well. I see a
Yes.
lot of men are not given that space, and then they just become that father figure that is called in. The police comes in when things are going wrong, and okay, Gary, say something to your son. But I don't know what's happened. And you say something, tell him that, and I say, well, no, stop. Listen, please. Let's sit down. I really need to understand what's happened before I speak.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love that you are really a full-on father. So I want to just say hello to some people that have popped in, and Marie Piplovic, as you know, she was on
Yeah.
your Be
I,
Well. So Marie is here. She says hello, hello, and she has a question. Did you notice when you couldn't get that sleep, did you feel more tension between your wife and more moodiness throughout your days?
yeah. Mel, my wife was going through a bit of postnatal depression after the child was
Mhm.
born, and so again, I was out of my comfort zone. Not only not knowing how to be a father, also having to deal with that. And so I was trying to, in a way, I was that savior. You know, the pyramid. What's that pyramid called, Permelia, where I was being the savior. You have the
There's the
situation.
Yes, right. Yeah, there's the
Yeah, and I took that role on as I will deal with it.
Mhm.
I will be there as a support for my wife's postnatal depression. I will be there for my this young daughter who just is so needy, is crying and won't eat. It wouldn't take her bottle and so on. So it caused a lot of tension. Yeah. But I was just trying to keep my head afloat in those first years. I've got to be honest with that. So there was a lot of tension between me and my wife, but she wasn't in a situation in a place where I could actually vent that anger or tension because you can't. I had this little child which was like months old, who was having all sorts of problems, and you deal with it, and that's what happened.
Yeah, and you step into it, you do what you have to do. And I also experienced some postpartum depression when my daughter was born. And I think, Marie knows because she's a conscious breathing facilitator, probably due because I was sleep deprived. I wasn't getting the sleep that I needed. And I also had a 2-year old that I was, and so actually, we used to get a babysitter to come at 6 o'clock in the morning so that I could just get a few more hours, if I could get another hour or so of sleep, just to look after the 2-year old.
All right.
So that, that I could have a bit more sleep, and try to get through the day. Luckily, that situation only went on for maybe 4 or 5 months. But at the time when you're in it, you think it's never ever gonna end. Yeah.
So how active was your husband in that
Oh,
phase?
very. Yeah, he was very active. Yeah, we it was a co-parenting, but it was rough for the whole family. So I want to talk about your Be Well.
Hmm.
Let's let's talk a little bit about how you got that started. And I was calling it a meeting. And you called it a hub. You call it a hub series. So you have
Yeah.
people that come into. It's not really an interview. It's not even a conversation like what you and I are doing today. Because I know when I was on, there was a number of other people that popped on too.
The be well is my way of paying it forward, not paying it back, but paying it forward.
Mhm,
It was
mhm,
when I came to the realization about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, that it was time for me to give back. And I've had a good run for my money, great family, great business journey. It's got had its ups and downs. I'm healthy, still got a marriage, and I've got so much fortune or so much that I've built on. And I said that I'm in a place where now I can actually give back. So
mhm,
before, I always felt that I didn't have enough. You know that not enough conundrum, and so it was like, what could I give back? I mean, what can I contribute? I don't have money. I don't know anything. I don't have time, and all those excuses. And I said, no,
mhm,
okay, so that's contribution. What about connection? I looked at the connection. I said, no, I've always been a lone wolf. I've always been an island in the river, like on my own, with me and my family. Before it was just me, I traveled around the world. I did lots of things before I came to Italy. And then I got married. My wife became my a unit. The 3 kids came along. We became a 5-person unit,
mhm.
us
That's good.
against everyone. And that was the way, that was like, what I'd been brought up on, but by my parents, that role model.
Mhm,
And so when it was time to actually connect, I found it really difficult. I found it even accepting your invitation for me is a part, it's a step forward, because connection was always, I'm making myself vulnerable. What do
mm,
you
mhm,
want? Are you going to judge me? What do I have to say? Is every word of mine going to be actually analyzed? And all those, those mind games, that internal voice that plays with you. But I said, okay, no, I'm gonna do it. So I began 3 years ago by volunteering. I go to the local homeless shelter on a Friday, and I work there, helping them with the immigrants that come to Italy. That they don't speak English. They need documents done. They need an appointment with the doctor. Various things. So I do
mhm,
that. And I said, well, that's not enough. You got to do more. So I said, okay, what more can I do? So I contacted two associations who help young people start up their business or have an idea
Mhm.
on what kind of business to start or their career. So I volunteered and I said, okay, I'm available. And so I've had people contacting me and I sit through them with their ideas to give them a bit of clarity, a bit of planning and some action steps to take. So I do that already. That was the second. And I said, well, I feel really good about this. I can do more. You know, I kept telling myself I can do more. It just wasn't, it was convincing myself that I could do more. So I said, okay, what more can you do? I said, well, you've been running your business for 25 years. From a small startup, a one person, one teacher, we got to 30 teachers working for the school. I said, wow, there must be some nuggets, some wisdom with that you can share. Second, I also said to myself, well, being an entrepreneur means also looking after yourself, your well-being.
Absolutely.
It's
Mhm.
not just about the professional, but you also have the personal development that you have to look after. So I said, okay, bring your stories, Gary, the stories that you had during this 25-year journey and make it available to other people. So connect and contribute. Okay, business, entrepreneurial well-being. Be well. I started
Ah,
that. That was the acronym, like be well.
yeah.
So I started that about a year ago, just on my own. I started up with Zoom, had a meeting, and I was just myself and whoever came along. After a while, that began to grow, and I said, "Well, I can't just keep talking about myself. It's a little bit boring, just Gary talking the same things." So start inviting guests like yourself, like
Mhm.
Marie, like Daniel Osborne, and so on. So many different people from different walks of life, different journeys, but different professions coming along. And I was amazed, and I still am amazed that people say yes. They want to give their time, they want to give their wisdom, and they want to come along. And I contact people through LinkedIn on
Yeah, that's how you
various
contacted
topics.
me, was
Yeah.
through LinkedIn. I'm like, wow.
And
I
but
was,
but it but it's not just a contact. Then you and I we did have a conversation
mhm,
for you before you came on the Be Well, because I think that's also
absolutely.
important to
Yeah.
understand. You know, people are saying, "What? Why are you doing this, Gary? What's your why?" And I said, "My why is to give back. I feel like I'm in a place of stability that I can. I want to give it back. I want to give back." And so I invite people from brand design, mindfulness, breath work, healing, everything. And people come along.
Well,
And
and it is so
we
important if what, as an entrepreneur, just what you said earlier about looking after yourself, you know, we need to be well. Entrepreneurs need to look, our health is our wealth. So all entrepreneurs, all walks of life, all different types of businesses, we need to be healthy. So we need to look at what that might be. And I love the people that you have on your show. I don't always get to hop on because it's kind of early for me, but I will try every now and again. Um,
but
so Maurice,
let me share a story with you, Permelia, about being
okay.
healthy as an entrepreneur. Now, being an entrepreneur, a solo entrepreneur, is very lonely because sometimes you feel like the world is on your shoulders. I remember that's what I used to feel like. Either there was not enough work, and so I was always worried trying to get the work in, or I had too much work and I didn't have the staff to cover the work.
Mhm.
So there was highs and lows continually. And then there were moments where you felt like other people just were not connected with you. You felt alone, and you had your vision, and you were doing things that way, the right way, and people were doing things the other way. And it was so frustrating because that's the difference between a sole entrepreneur when you work for yourself and you do the job and you can guarantee the quality and everything. When you have other people working for you, like I did over the years, now we got to 30 teachers working for me.
Wow.
Um, I couldn't guarantee the quality of 30 people.
Mhm.
And so that was another frustrating moment. And that affected my health, I remember. But at the time, I didn't want to acknowledge it. I would go into work, I remember, with a splitting headache. Really, it was one of those migraine headaches that I just put it down to normal. I don't know whether it was stress, whether it was anyway. To the point, I was with my wife. We went to. I had a brain scan because I thought there was something really serious about this. Because I thought maybe there's I don't know, a tumor, an aneurysm. I don't know. So we went to have a scan, and they didn't find anything. They didn't find anything, and thank God in a way. But in the end, on the other hand, I really wanted to find something because I wanted to know what it was. And this, and like once every 2 months or 3 months, I would have this splitting headache. I'd go into the office early morning. I'd go back home and spend the day in bed in the dark, vomiting and splitting headache. My family would come back from school and from work, my wife, and they'd find me in bed and ask me, what's happening? And I couldn't give them the answer. I just didn't know whether it was my diet, whether it was the work, whether it was my exercise. I didn't know. But once every 2 months, I would be in that condition. And things have changed when things started to change when I changed my diet.
Yes, I was just going to say, were you drinking enough water?
Yeah, very, trivial. Maybe it's the water. I started actually getting some routine in my sleep, not going to sleep when I was tired, but actually going to sleep when I decided that I should go to sleep. Whereas before, I'd go to sleep at 2 a.m. and try to wake up at 8 or 7, take the kids to school. So I had 5 hours of sleep. And, so it was a case like what we were saying before, it's just getting a bit more control of your diet, your sleeping, your drinking, the way you're working, and so on. So that was a big lesson for me. Big lesson.
Yes, so important to then analyze what is happening. Because again, the migraine headaches were just a symptom of what was going on with you. Not really what was, you needed to find out what was really going on with you. And obviously when you changed your diet, that also changed, your health, and I hopefully the headaches are no longer, they've gone away.
Yeah, they disappeared so incredibly. Even my wife says, those headaches, what happened? They've disappeared. Or they come like maybe the last one I had was about 6 months ago, but it was actually being aware, being conscientious, being conscious of what I'm doing and how I'm doing things.
Yes.
Whereas before I was on automatic pilot and I just kept running here, running there. Everything was just an overload. And then I had that breakdown once every 2 months.
And often that, I believe, happens for fathers and men and husbands who, you're feeling responsible for the family. You are contributing to the income of the family. And you don't do that introspection until something like a migraine headache makes you actually sit up and take notice. So it's very, very important for all of us, men and women, to be always be aware of what's going on in our lives. So another comment here from Marie. She said, it's very inspiring to hear you say that you were a lone wolf. Your Be Well show and example as host seems so natural and open, and you connect so easily. It's a wonderful show that connects folks without that networking feel. So
thank you, Marie.
Marie was also a guest on your show. So yeah, it was just like a very relaxing conversation that we were having with the people that were on the show. Marie says, when I have a choice between groups, I tend to always lean toward joining Be Well because it feels more real. So
thank you. The idea is trying to be as authentic as possible, really, in bringing the people. As I said, it's taking more and more organization. Like we were saying before, Permelia. It started off very slowly, just like a little voice, and now it's becoming louder and louder. And I'm having to get a little bit more organized, which is okay. Which is because I think everyone's expecting a little bit of quality, and everything I do, whether it's as a husband or as an entrepreneur or as a coach or as a teacher, I always try to give the best of myself. So even in Be Well, that's what I'll be doing. And so I do tweak it here and there and make sure I get the right people on there by speaking to them before and looking for, I don't know, things like whatever that's going to be not necessarily business and mental well-being, but also now being a little bit curious, because that's one of the things of being an entrepreneur. You have to be open-minded, be curious, and actually make yourself vulnerable by saying that you don't know everything.
Exactly. And
And
always
so,
be
yeah,
asking, always be asking
yes,
questions. I love that. Well, we're
and
just getting almost.
to bring on people like of things of subjects that you don't know, which could be
Mhm.
blockchain, it could be cryptocurrency or whatever it is. I mean, things that you don't know, but in a way that you're just curious, not that you
Yeah.
want to do that. You just open and you're willing to sit there and say, I don't know, please, could you tell me what you're doing, and let's see if we can actually inspire others, or we can help others or support others who want to know something about this subject.
Yeah. And
That's the
that's what
aim.
I love about your subjects. It's, it is around the sort of health, but also you have other things like the cryptocurrency
Yeah.
and those kinds of things that you invite guests to talk about. So I'm just watching the time. We're almost at the bottom of the hour. Look how fast that 30 minutes went. So I'm just running here. Let the ticker take how to connect with Gary. There's his email and also his LinkedIn profile. So please connect with him. And this has just been really, really delightful to have you talking about for our June theme of men's health, and bringing your point of view from being a family man and a husband and a father. So after the show, Gary and I are going to go back on to the event and we will answer any questions. What happens often is that I do this doesn't happen often. I definitely do the replay in about 3 or 4 hours time. But then what will happen is more people will see it and they will come back and make more comments. So we always want to answer any questions or, acknowledge that people have taken the time to come to the show and be on the show. So we'll do that. We'll go back and connect with everybody. It also helps the LinkedIn algorithm. So we always want that to be,
Yeah.
we always want to be thinking about that. My vision is to create a community of expert health practitioners that are customizing their unique treatments to meet our clients with their specific needs. And our motto is service with love. So we are always looking at finding whatever those whatever those pain points are for you, or the issue that you have, whether it's mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, whatever it is, we want to be able to assist you. And we have our wonderful group of holistic practitioners that are available to do that. So we have a big ask. We're out to heal the world, and we would love you to share the podcast with your friends and family and community. We are always telling people about the amazing people that we have on the podcast every week. And again, you got to meet another one, Gary Marcus Judge. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast today.
Thank you, Permelia. Thank you for the invitation, and good luck. You've got a big project there, healing the world.
We have a big job.
But, well, you've got to
We're
start
up for
somewhere. You've got to start
Yes,
somewhere. So good luck with
exactly.
that.
All right. We'll see you next Friday on Heal the World.